Hey guys, so I am seeing a lot of confusion around the power system that we have installed in the Vandoit Adventure Van, and a lot of it evolves around the under voltage shutdown due to batteries being too low on the Go power system. And to kind of break down what's happening and why certain things have to happen in check, I guess, to make sure that your system is able to still run and operate properly. I'll take you guys through a couple of things, but to get to the solution really fast, I think in some cases you would think, hey, let me plug in shore power because that gives you power back to the charger, which then will charge the batteries. Depending on the level of state of under voltage shutdown, that determines if the charger has enough power to actually turn on the relay to close it to be able to charge the batteries from shore power. Now we're talking shore power plugging in the reciprocal from the outside of the vehicle that runs into the Go Power IC2000. Now, that is not the same connection as when you turn on the vehicle, and when you turn on the vehicle, that's going from the alternator back to the system. Those are two separate charging ways within the van. And for some people, we've also got a third charging scenario, which is solar. And solar is a big one for people. That's why I usually recommend it really more as an overgrown trickle charger, because it's helping keep you out of that state of low voltage, under voltage charge over the period of a course of time. Now, if you do heavy use at night, certain things, you'll pull the voltage down under a point that will not allow you to be able to charge the battery bank off of the charger, the AC charger, inside the IC2000. Now, that IC2000 remote will give you not state of charge, but it will give you voltage within the battery bank, which in turn does give you technically more or less your state of charge, dependent on what the normal level of voltage is in those AGM batteries, which really is basically 12.00 volts. Now, we all know you can use the batteries past that zero state of charge, and you can use them down to about 11.0 to 10.5. Now, once you get below 10.5, that's when certain items start to kick off. Certain relays won't kick on. And so one of the biggest problems that I think a lot of people are having is whenever they, the vehicle sets for a long period of time, or, whatever it might be, there's like the CO2 monitor, for instance. The CO2 monitor will use power all the way down to about 9 volts. And so regardless, if you have no solar, that van sits long enough, you will find yourself down way below 10 volts. So the question starts to become, how do I get charged back in my batteries without having to just rip everything out of the van? Well, it's a couple of things. And really, there's one very, very easy way. In the Vandoit system, since we know of all these problems, what we put in place is what's called an ACR. It's an automatic charger relay. What that charger relay is for is it is to connect the alternator to the house battery bank at a certain level of voltage. So what I mean by that is when you turn on the vehicle, it does not automatically connect your house batteries, the batteries we install, to the alternator to start charging. What it does is it waits for that voltage level to get up to roughly 13.5. That's kind of like your normal running voltage somewhere in there. A lot of times you can get up into 14, 14.4, but it wants you to reach that 13.5 for roughly anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds based on the wavelengths. And it does that so it makes sure that your car is actually running. It doesn't mean like, hey, I turned the key over, but now I'm connected. And it makes sure that that alternator is outputting power so that if you turn that key, it's just not going to drain your car battery, so now your car doesn't start. And so what it does is that when you turn that key and you get yourself above 13.5 volts for about roughly 20 seconds, it will connect your car alternator back to the house battery system. Now, a lot of times you're going to hear a loud click when that happens. Basically it's a button on the top of the ACR that you push down, and when you push that down, or it automatically pushes down, it's connecting those two systems, and instantly you're getting a charge back to your battery bank. What can happen though is if the voltage level in the battery bank is too low, the automatic feature of that relay is now disabled. It's disabled because that relay to automatically close has a solenoid inside it. That solenoid takes roughly 10.5 volts to actually operate. So it's interesting, but basically you have a battery charger remote that connects two batteries together, but it won't connect it with a dead battery. So what you have to do is you have to locate within your Vandoit build, depending on if you have a Go or a Do, or if you have a Live model, or more recent models, they are located in different spots of the van. And I can send you a picture. You can see a picture, but basically what it is you will find somewhere within the power box and the Live models on the back sidewall or under the driver's seat. So old style Live models that have the control box, the entertainment box, in those models you will find the ACR that has the little yellow button on top that you can manually push down. You're going to find it behind the box, or you're going to find it under the driver's seat where the factory battery is. Now in the Live models with the electronics on the driver's side, you'll find it within the large enclosure with all your fuses. You're going to find it on the sidewall, and you should be able to pop a cap on the top panel of it and be able to actually hit that yellow button down without removing any panels. It's just a cap that's on top of the box. If not, you do have to remove the faceplate. That's a revision we made kind of somewhere along the way. Now in the Do van, you will see it in your clear panel. You're going to see it mounted sideways. It's going to have that yellow top on it, and you do have to remove the back clear panel to be able to push that button in. Once you push that button in, it manually connects the two systems together for roughly a minute, and if the voltage isn't found and it doesn't get that voltage up high enough, it will click back off, and sometimes, depending on how dead the battery bank is, you have to cycle that a couple times. Now, guys, do not push that button unless you have a vehicle on. Because if you do, and you don't have a vehicle on, it will pull your car battery down below a voltage that will not allow your car to start. I mean, you're truly basically killing your own car battery very fast. Now, circling back to why the charger and the inverter controller does not work. It doesn't work because that charger inside there is the same thing. That mechanism inside that charger to allow that relay to kick over and start charging the batteries takes at least 10 volts of power. So what you can do is if you're at a campsite or somewhere where you can plug in, don't worry. But what I want you to do is you need to turn your car on, make sure your car's running. Hit that yellow button down on top of your ACR, and that will connect the two battery banks together. And then you'll see things start to come back to life. Once it gets up above 10.5 and you have it plugged into shore power, make sure your shore power inlet's set to, anywhere from 10 to 15 amps. But that charger, you will start to see bulk charging or absorb charging. You'll start to see charging happening on the IC2000 display. And when you start to see that happen, let it go for another, 10, 15 seconds, and then you turn off your vehicle, and now your IC2000 charger that's built in now will charge that battery bank, and you're back rocking and rolling. Now, one important thing, guys, that will happen sometimes is there is a red toggle switch that ties to your ACR that gives you secondary control. It's got an off position, an auto position, and an on position. You want to make sure you always keep that in auto. That is really what can also cause issues, is if that's not staying in auto and you click that off or click that on, that can be the problems that really start to give you headaches down the road. And so, to sum the whole thing up, if your car's dead, not your car, but as your house batteries are dead, your switches don't work, your inverter doesn't turn on, you plug into shore power, the batteries won't charge because it's showing like 8.5 volts or something crazy low, like single digits, don't worry. Just go to the ACR, find that within your build, manually press down that yellow button after turning on your car. Once you turn on your car, you press that yellow button down, you will start receiving that voltage again. It'll bring everything back to life, and you can now allow the inverter charger controller, the charger inside that IC2000, it'll take over and it'll get you back rock and rolling. I hope this helps, guys. Thank you.